The decision to keep rates unchanged at 8.25% for the repo rate and 11.75% for the prime lending rate is definitely going to be momentary relief for families already struggling with cripplingly higher mortgage and other repayments. But what has the inflationary climate meant for household food baskets? And to those for whom every rand shapes the story of eating or not eating. The Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group has put out its January Household Affordability Index, which shows which foods are going up and what minimum wage families are up against. Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group Program Coordinator Mervyn Abrahams joins us now and will share some key insights from the data that they've collected with us. Mervyn, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Welcome and thanks for your time. So we know already January is a traditionally hard and long month. We've got extra demands like schooling. There's the hangover of finding cash for holiday extras and the like. So let's start there with what the January budget is looking like for families.
So good evening, Imam, and good evening to all your viewers. Correctly, as you've said, January is an extremely difficult month for most households because children are going back to school. There's been the festive season period, and normally that's a period of celebration. So money was spent on that, but also school fees, children's schooling, etc. So it is an extremely difficult month, and our index this month really shocked us. As you will remember, the last 3 months, we've seen a decline in food prices across the country during October, November, and December. But the January figures that have come in have shown that, in fact, we are back onto inflationary pressures again. Our basket has increased by about 86 rand or 1.7%, taking the cost of that basket now to 5,324 rand. And this is therefore an 8.3% increase year on year. And Imam, what is particularly worrying is that these results reflect all the metro areas across South Africa. So it wasn't just food prices in one particular part of the country. And we also saw that about 29 out of the 44 foods has shown an increase during the month of January. So that makes life extremely difficult for households who are already living almost in food insecure environments.
Mervyn, let's talk about which food items are principally driving up the cost of those food. And this is a basic food basket we're talking about.
Exactly. And I mean, the foods in our basket, Imam, just to remind your viewers, consist of things like maize meal and rice and flour and sugar beans and potatoes and onions and curry and soups and tomatoes and carrots. So it's basic foods. What we have seen is a strong increase in the price of vegetables, particularly potatoes. Potato prices has increased month on month by something like 13%. So if you paid last year, you would have paid for a 10 kg pocket of potatoes, something in the region of about 89 rand. Today, you'll pay something like 118 rand. We've also seen a spike in tomato prices, quite a significant 14%. We've seen an increase in poultry prices. So frozen chicken has gone up by 2%. Chicken feet has gone up by 5%. And I'm not sure whether this has got to do anything with the article I read the other day about chicken feet being exported to China. But that seemed to have increased quite a bit. And then we've seen increases in things like polony and margarine, and again, a slight increase in oil, and as well as in peanut butter, which is often, of course, used for children's lunches to school. So wow. It really has made the environment more difficult.
I mean, interesting you talk about chicken feet heading to China. One imagines then, and we'll follow up on this one, around, you know, how much volume we're talking about there. Because when we think of lower income families, particularly minimum wage families, and I think minimum wage is now 25 Rand 42 an hour, these are the food items that families would go to try and bulk up, the serving of food. Especially you add in potatoes, for example, just to give things a bit more bulk. So families really under pressure there. I want to come. There was so much really great data in the report that you put out, but let's maybe close with this one. Speaking of a back-to-school grant. This is going to no doubt spark some heated debate between those who feel we're too much welfare and those who feel we're too little welfare. You're also worried, Mervyn, about the child support grant gap. Why?
So that is extremely critical. So, Iman, the child support grant, which covers about 13 million South African children, it's well placed. All the research is showing it's extremely well used. But the child support grant, in terms of its value, is 510 Rand. The food poverty line, as dictated by the Treasury, is 710 Rand. So already there is a gap. But it costs something like 900 Rand to feed a child a nutritious meal for the month. Now, if we are not going to get nutrition for our children correct, then all our other socio-development interventions are at risk. So why don't we get such good educational results? Partly because the children are hungry at school. Why are we having such bad economic productivity results in South Africa? And that is because of the levels of hunger and undernutrition. So nutrition for our children is critical if we want to build a prosperous South Africa in the future.
Mervyn, we will certainly keep the conversation going. Thank you for stopping by today and just sharing with us the highlights of your January Index and Household Index. We appreciate that. Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group Program Coordinator, Mervyn Abrahams.